Hey dudes, it's Lerald, and I've spent this past weekend playing around with a bunch of different farm strategies to see exactly what's gotten buffed in patch 0.2.0G, and just kind of how much the buffs have really impacted everything. So before the weekend, I played around with a Wisp bossing strategy that I really like. Our last video was about that strat. It's fun, I like it, check it out if you haven't already. But now that I've had a few more days to kind of play around and experiment, I've triangulated my way to a mapping strategy that really is doing it for me right now. This is exactly what I'm looking for. It's maps, they're full of monsters, and the monsters drop orbs. What's not to like? Also, there's Expedition. So let's get into it. So I'll start with the testing first. Strongbox has got a big buff in the patch, but the points supporting them in the tree are still kind of weird. They add a lot more strongboxes into your maps, or a handful more, but they don't really do anything to make the strongboxes actually more rewarding, which maybe that's fine, right? I don't really know, but either way, I spent several hours farming strongboxes with all of those points allocated. I never got a single raw divine orb or really any kind of huge loot reward from any strongbox while I was spec'd into them, and certainly not from any of the researcher strongboxes. In fact, I've gotten a lot more loot from researcher strongboxes when I have not been spec'd into them. I don't think it's a bug, I think it's just RNG. I think it makes sense because the Atlas passives in the strongbox area just make more of them spawn and make them spawn more monsters or whatever. But, you know, because they don't increase the reward of the strongboxes at all, I don't really think they're all that worthy of investing your Atlas passive points into them. There's some good RNG potential there, but I'm just still not a fan. Then I played around with Wisps. I found Wisps to be really amazing on bosses. You know, that video from last Friday, I feel really good about that one. I think that Wisps are not bad on rares, but they're not amazing. They definitely feel a lot better with passives buffing them, but they're still kind of annoying to use. They slow you down a lot, and they usually don't give you much in the way of currency. I got one divine orb from a wisped up rare monster over the weekend. I was prepared to say 0. I was going to do a whole thing. Like, this is my tab full of divines I got from wisp rares, and then it would be empty. But I got a divine from one of them. The last map I was going to run before speccing out of wisps threw me a single divine orb just to, like, shut me up, I guess. So speccing into wisps can be good, but not good enough to justify giving up, I would say, like 15% pack size on the tree, in my opinion. Doesn't really feel great when it never really winds up giving you any more currency, and there's also the chore of hand-holding all of the wisps. So what about Breach Ritual, Expedition, Delirium, you know, the four quote-unquote league mechanics? So all of the in-game boss keys and currencies drop a lot more often, so they've also lost a ton of value, right? Breach Stones are down, Simulacrums are down, King of the Mist keys are down slightly, but logbook prices have actually gone up because logbooks got a huge buff in value. Like, they give you a lot more stuff. I've read through the patch notes a few more times and played around with everything, and I really think that the two biggest mechanics that got like the most buffs in this patch were Expedition and Delirium. Delirium grants more rarity relative to Delirium effect now, and fracturing mirrors are working again in maps because they hadn't been this whole patch. So Delirium once again adds a ton of extra monsters and rarity, especially if you're scaling up pack size, you're going to get lots of monsters out of those fracturing mirrors. So this is like really, really good, right? Delirium I think is good, and you're going to want to run it on every single map. And the thing that's really nice about Delirium is you can kind of do that, I wouldn't say for free because it costs exalts to anoint your maps, but you can do it without wasting a tablet slot, which is pretty great. Expedition already worked well with this kind of setup where we're scaling up pack size, and now it's even better. Expedition currency drops way more often by default, so its price has dropped, but that basically doesn't matter. Most of the Expedition currencies weren't really worth much anyway. We really were farming Expedition before for the purpose of just killing a bunch of rares in one spot and having them drop a bunch of stuff, and if they dropped logbooks, that was great. We're getting more regular currency drops from them. We are getting more logbooks now. We're getting more of everything from Expedition encounters than we were before, and the strategy was already good prior to the patch. So yeah, it's Expedition again, but it is a lot better. The difficulty of Expedition has also been turned down pretty heavily, so it's not just more rewarding, it's also easier too. And that's true for Delirium as well, so it's a double dose of the risk-reward ratio being tuned into the player's favor. Expedition and Delirium, together at last. Two great tastes that taste great together. And so this is the Atlas passive tree that I'm running. As you can see, if you watch some of our videos from the last couple of weeks, this is a setup that's probably very familiar. Like I said, played around with a bunch of different other things, and ultimately I just came back to pack size. I just think that nothing really feels as good in mapping, in like mid-juice mapping, as pack size does. I think that Unstable Energies and Grueling Journey are good, like the amount of explicit mod effect that you get if you have good prefixes on your maps. I think the amount of value you get out of these two is worth taking, but all the 3-point small explicit mod effect ones really don't feel as good to me just across a wide spectrum of decently rolled maps as that guaranteed pack size. You know, we're taking 10 of these small pack size nodes, so we're getting 30% pack size in every map. It's basically a free prefix in every single map, and that is great because it doesn't come with the downside of juicing all of the suffixes of the maps, you know? So that's really good. Now, one thing that I have changed is I'm still taking this upper branch of Expedition. You know, I'm getting more runic monster markers and more logbooks. That's obviously very good. But then I'm also getting Weight of History and Unearthed Anomalies, and that's because the remnants were tuned down in the patch. The downsides of remnants were tuned down and the upsides were tuned up. This means that remnants are just like way better in terms of risk reward. And so, you know, with the quantity of artifacts bonus here being worth quite a lot less, since artifacts are worth significantly less now. And the same kind of goes for legendary battles, like legendary battles giving you more monsters and more coinage. That's pretty good. I think you could justify not taking this lower branch if you don't want to read. This is definitely the more difficult of the two branches to take, this lower branch, but I think it is so much more rewarding now than it was before. And even before the patch, I thought it was arguably better than the legendary battles branch. It just requires some reading, a little bit more risky, but at this point I think it's pretty close in terms of risk, and the reward is just way higher. Other than that, all the rest of the trees are pretty much the same. I have bothered to go ahead and finish out all 4 of my simulacrums, and I found them really easy. They were really easy after the patch. Like, I might do a video talking about them if people want to see that. Some of the things you can do to just like really turn the difficulty down on simulacrum. But it is so much less painful now than it was before, and it's definitely very good to get all 4 of these left-hand bonuses if you're doing map anoints. These are the only 4 bonuses that are going to do anything. All of these on the right-hand side only work with mirrors, and none of the ones on the right-hand side are really all that great if you did want to do mirrors instead of anoints. I still think I would go with the left-hand side. All right, so in terms of the setup, this is going to be pretty similar to the setup that I've gone with previously. I'll just kind of show off like a nice looking area here and kind of make like a point here about the kind of farm strategies that I like to go after. So you can see, like, this is a map that has 6 things on it. You know, this is something that a lot of people like to do sort of like a horizontal strategy where they're doing like 5 or 6 different things in each map. They're really kind of like getting a bite out of every single flavor of mechanic that you can do. And for me, I really like to do just like one thing. I like to kind of drill down on 1 or maybe 2 things, and just focus on those and really try and like do more of a vertical strategy where like I'm only doing expedition, but I'm doing it very, very hard. And at least for me, I've always found that when I try and do these kind of horizontal strategies where I'm doing half a dozen different things at once, I spend 8, 10, 12, 15 minutes in each map, and I feel like I come out with a lot less currency, and I'm kind of all over the place. I'm never really like locked in and focused on one thing, and I just feel much, much, much less efficient than when I kind of drill down on a single thing and really lock in on that all at once. So I think horizontal strategies can be very good when you're like super broke at the start of a league. I think that's sort of how I had this set up initially. I'm really not sure what I was thinking in this area. But generally speaking, I really want to kind of try and lock in on just one thing at a time. If I jump back to where I am here, you know, this is an area that I've already mostly cleared out. But you can kind of see, like, I was pretty much only doing, like, expedition. I think I just had some bosses in here, but I was doing expedition in cleansed areas. So obviously they're corrupted first, right? But I would make my way into the corrupted area. I would hit that as quickly as I could, cleanse it, and, you know, then set my expedition farm strategy up over the top of it. So setting up in a cleansed area like this isn't mandatory, but it is free real estate. You get like 20 to 30 extra packs of monsters from each of the cleansed maps. Potentially there are some other really good cleansed modifiers that you can get. I don't think I have any of them on these maps, unfortunately. Oh, here's one actually, Obelisks of Cleansing. So these will give you 100% item rarity pretty regularly throughout the map. There's another one, Mounting Greed, that'll give you rarity for killing monsters. You know, a lot of rarity buffs. And while rarity's effect has been increased, the amount of rarity on your waystones was scaled down with this patch, but these cleansed modifiers that give rarity were not scaled down. So I do think that going for cleansed areas is even more important now than it was before. So whenever possible, try to run your juiciest strategies in a cleansed area. In terms of what I'm looking for, like geographically, you know, it's the same stuff everybody's doing, right? You're trying to find overlapping towers like so, or like this would have been a really good overlapping tower area if it wasn't full of water. But you know, you're trying to get overlapping towers and then slap in some of the following tablets. I'm throwing in one Forgotten by Time. I really want to try to put this into like a central tablet or central tower if I can, so it'll hit as many area or maps in the area. And I'll have to use as few of these as I possibly can for the area, since all it gives is runic monsters are duplicated and then spawning with half of their life missing. I don't care about that really, but you know, I want that duplicated monster effect available in all the expeditions I do. You know, it's twice as many monsters in every expedition. That's like the most valuable of the remnant modifiers you can get. So if you can just get that by default in all of your maps, that's really good. Then after that, I want to get like, basically I want every map in the area to be irradiated. So I do want to use any like quantity or rarity precursor tablets. Like I just want to use like one of those kind of in the area to irradiate everything. Maybe one or two, depends on kind of how the towers overlap. And then I want to fill up all the rest of my tablet slots in the area with expedition tablets. And that's why I kind of said that about like vertical versus horizontal strategies. You could fit in other mechanics. You could fit in like some lightly juiced breach or ritual or something, but it won't be as impactful as just like really stacking up on one mechanic. And it's kind of weird the way that towers work, where you would be adding like 90 maps worth of expedition into an area that, I mean, it looks like it only has like 12 maps or whatever, but that's just kind of how it goes. So the modifiers that I'm looking for still are like quantity and rarity, obviously, as the prefixes are ideal, but for the expedition tablets in particular, explosive radius, the more I use it, the more I need like more of it. I'm trying to get at minimum of 2 of these on all of the overlapping tower areas, potentially 3 or more. That increased explosion radius just makes it so easy to get everything that's in an expedition, and that is so valuable for making the most of the expedition. And because we are getting a lot more value out of remnants, we do want some remnant effect, which I don't know if I have any good tablets that have anything to do with remnants. Yeah, here we go. Actually, this one's pretty good. Expeditions have an extra remnant. That's pretty good. There's also a remnant effect modifier. This one, unfortunately, has a terrible prefix, extra gold. But if this was like a quant and increased effect of remnants, that could be okay. I still think I would rather have the +1 remnants, but this one's pretty good. Pack size and effective remnants is also really good. So I'm trying to get some explosive radius, trying to get quant and rarity whenever possible, trying to get more remnants. Those are kind of the main things that I'm really looking for. Pack size, quantity, rarity, any of those three prefixes are good, and then explosive radius and plus remnants. Plus logbooks can also be good as a expedition modifier, if I can find that in here. But the thing is that you get a lot of logbook amount from remnants. I think you get like 50%, and that can show up on several different remnants throughout an expedition. And so getting like 6% like I have on this tablet, it's not going to be nearly as impactful as just getting even more remnants to really min-max that juice. So I think adding more remnants is the most valuable thing you can do. It does mean that there's like more downsides to deal with, you know, like if you're playing Lightning Spear, which I am, you might have to deal with lightning immune remnants that you have to like navigate around. So I guess that is kind of the downside, but I think remnants are pretty much number one. All right, so why not do Delirium tablets? Why not do Delirium mirrors? Yeah, I have some Delirium tablets in here that are okay. They have like quantity and stuff. And the reason for that really is simple. I think that the Delirium tablet suffixes are just like really not very good. You can get a little bit of stack size of Simulacrum splinters, but then most of the rest of these are just very weak, if not just outright worthless. I really like Delirium mirrors a lot. I actually like them a lot more than just anointing my maps, but unfortunately the Delirium tablet mods just are are bad, and the Expedition tablet mods are amazing. So you can use Delirium tablets if you want. If you have them with like good quant or pack size or rarity, you can do that. It's a thing you can do. It's okay. But for me, I'm just buying up a ton of Distilled Paranoia, and I'm just hitting like pretty much all of my maps with triple Distilled Paranoia, unless I, for some reason, corrupt them first. I don't know why these are corrupted without being instilled. I don't know what I was thinking at that time. I think I was playing around with Delirium Mirrors. That's the only explanation I could come up with. But yeah, triple Paranoia, give yourself 45% increased rare monsters. Again, basically another free prefix. And, that's pretty good. Pretty cheap too, like a couple of exalts each. If you really, really wanted to be super cheap, you could do Distilled Greed instead, get a little bit of rarity, and then also add in all the extra monsters that come from Delirium. Alright, so just to kind of hit on some FAQs here, like, is Forgotten by Time mandatory? I don't really think so. I think it's just very good. Getting the duplicated runic monsters is just really good, and it's underpriced too. It's like 10 or 15 exalts, which, it'll affect all of the maps in its radius, not just like 16 or whatever. Every single map in the radius will be affected by that bonus, which is pretty good. You can just run another very, very well-rolled Magic Expedition tablet if you have them. That's maybe better, but I think for the price, Forgotten by Time is pretty great. Finally, just to finish out with all the usual information here, the goal on all of the maps is to have like quantity, rarity, pack size. If you can get increased number of rare monsters, that's good. Increased number of packs, just monster packs, is also like a pretty fun modifier on the prefix side of things. None of the suffixes are good, right? I don't really love that they've decoupled suffixes and reward. It's very weird. Downside and reward, I guess I should say. It's very weird. But ultimately you just kind of want to use the same ritual omens that we've been doing pretty much all league long. If you're starting with a normal map, you just use an omen of Sinistral Alchemy and alch it, and you'll get a 3 prefix, 1 suffix. If you're starting with a magic map, you can regal and exalt using omen of Sinistral Coronation and Exaltation, and that'll give you 3 prefixes. Potentially you could do a 3 prefix and 0 suffix map. I love those. Those are good. And then if you really want to kind of like live large, you can roll a map all the way up to 6 mods and then corrupt it and hope it rolls all prefixes like this one did, which is cool, right? Not all of these are great. Some magic chests are kind of whatever, but rare monsters, quantity, rarity, more rare monsters, that feels pretty good. In terms of what I'm doing in the maps, it's mostly the same as what we've been doing before with Expedition, but the main difference in handling Expeditions in this setup is that we are getting way more value out of Remnants, and we're also getting more Remnants in our maps. So we really want to emphasize those just as much as monster markers. Also, with buried chests being buffed a lot, we want to emphasize those as well. This is why the explosive radius and the range on the tablets, the Expedition tablets, is really important. You want to hit as many runic monster markers as possible, but you also want to hit as many rare and magic chest markers as possible and as many remnants as possible. You want it all. So most of the remnant modifiers are really good. The main ones I am looking for are more logbooks, pack size, quantity, and rarity, and that actually goes for like quantity and rarity from monsters as well as quantity and rarity from the chests. You want to hit good remnants early in the explosion chain, as always, so that their bonuses will apply to all of the subsequent explosions. The only bad remnant mods I think that still exist are like increased XP and artifact drops, and then all the downsides, right? None of those are ever any fun. There are some new remnant modifiers, new prefixes, like monsters cannot drop weapons, which are actually pretty cool. I like those a lot. I haven't found every single one of them, I think, but being able to turn like weapons and armor drops off and make those guys hopefully drop more currency or logbooks is really, really cool. So that's the strat. I'm still enjoying it a lot. I may try playing around with some straight Delirium mirror farming just to see how it compares, but this feels pretty unbeatable right now. I did play around with Breach and with Ritual, and I didn't really love either of them. I mean, they're fine, right? They're the same old, but they just didn't really feel significantly better in the way that both Delirium and Expedition do after the patch. On a related note, I am glad that logbooks are worth more now. I'm glad that they're actually like good feeling to run. I did run a few of them myself before I sold off all of the rest, and they're pretty good now. I might need to give those a critical reevaluation at some point too. Alright, that's it. Be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video and you want to see more like it, and if you want to support us even further, consider becoming a channel member. Thanks for watching and have fun. Bye.